Us live right now is Swapnil Kothari as well as Mr. Vikram Singh. Both of you gentlemen, good morning and thank you for joining us. Shravan continues, of course, to be with me. Mr. Kothari, if I could come to you first. These documents that we have now accessed ask the big question that who does the buck really stop at?
Well, Nupur, the answer is very clear from this report, and congratulations to you and your entire team. And then all sorts of congratulations since the time that Republic has started in 2017. Fall short because you all deserve much more than mere congratulations from us panelists. But be that as it may, the buck stops obviously at the senior level. Just as a junior anchor cannot run a show or an editorial without the editor-in-chief's sanction. Likewise, a junior cannot have a free rein unless and until the senior turns to look the other way, or maybe just turns a blind eye to it, or possibly sanctions it in a direct manner. So whether it's an act of commission or omission, the Commissioner of Police here, if he's the person who's at the head, and here it would be more important, Nupur, is because it's the Joint Commissioner of Police under whom Sachin Vaze comes. So the Joint Commissioner of Police, having opposed this, will possibly escape any inquiry here simply because he had opposed, and and then he'll have to, of course, if he's called, he'll have to also give an explanation as to how this man was running free of also in a rather brazen manner. So obviously the Commissioner of Police is being questioned by the NIA as we've seen him getting out of the car, and he'll have a lot of answering to do because if you are there at the top, then you have to be responsible first for his reinstatement. So you'll have to justify his reinstatement of a tainted police officer as he was, because for 17 years this man was suspended. So obviously if you're reinstating a suspended person, you have to have very legitimate reasons other than COVID to bring a person in. And if you can justify those reasons, thereafter also, then you have to justify all the actions as to what your junior officer has been doing. So this is a basic police manual that's been shunted out of the window. And this is where, the Commissioner of Police will have to give a lot of answers here. And I believe that, that's going to be a very, very tough ask for anybody in that sort of a position. First of all,
I would like to complete the breaking right now, Swapnil, because there are more pages to this entire report. So I'll request you to stay on with us. I'll come back to you for putting this into perspective. But let's quickly go back to the report that has been accessed by Republic TV. I'll also bring in my colleague Alisha for further details of it. Let me quickly go back to the report. This is the second page of the report where they're essentially talking about how exactly was Sachin Vaze appointed as the in charge of CIU when this was a police inspector rank officer. Question was basically raised whether at all this position or this posting was degraded, to which the answer has been that this was only at the insistence of the Commissioner of Police that Sachin Vaze was made the in charge of the CIU. Let's go to the other page. How exact? This is the original Marathi report, the report that has been written in Marathi and has been submitted before the Home Department. It's an exact translation of when exactly was Sachin Vaze appointed. Let's go to the other page now. This is once again the second page translated in English. Sachin Vaze gave reported to whom and carried out investigation under whose guidance. Mr. Sachin Vaze has not followed the rules and he directly and independently reported to then Commissioner of Police Mumbai. Sachin Vaze was investigated under his guidance. Sachin Vaze was following the guidelines of the then Commissioner of Police about raids on illegal activities, whom to arrest or not, to call whom as a witness and accused of sensitive and important cases, as well as regarding points mentioned by CIU. This is massive because clearly the new administration of the Mumbai police pinning the entire blame on the former police commissioner Parambir Singh as far as the working relationship between an assistant police inspector with that of a DG rank officer. Sachin Vaze was not following the rules is what the new administration has to say. Let's move to the other part. Did Sachin Vaze report to the Deputy Commissioner of Police Crime or the Joint Commissioner of Crime? Because remember, the two immediate bosses of Sachin Vaze was the DCP Crime and then his super boss was the joint CP crime? Look at the answer. API Sachin Vaze never used to report to senior officers of crime branch. Occasionally, he used to discuss informally about crime, as well as API Sachin Vaze was strictly prohibited his colleague of CIU from reporting to senior officers of crime branch. He directly reported to the then Commissioner of Police about above-mentioned important decisions. Also, Sachin Vaze used to remain present in all important matters like TRP case, Dilip Chabria case, explosives found in the vehicles near residence of Sri Mukesh Ambani case, etc., along with the then Commissioner of Police in the important briefing to the Minister. Thereafter, Sachin Vaze used to convey to the crime branch office regarding the same decision. Now, that's massive. Here, the new Mumbai Police Administration saying that Sachin Vaze would never report to his immediate seniors. That's the DCP crime and the joint CP crime, which is something that all of us knew. All of us who've covered crime in Mumbai was aware of how exactly was this working and the relationship between Sachin Vaze and the then Mumbai Police Commissioner. The very fact that he had direct access to the then Police Commissioner's office. Let's move to the other page right now. This is page number 3. Let's move to page number 4. Page number 4 gives you full details of whether at all the Joint Police Commissioner and others were aware of what was actually happening. Which senior officer was given direction after reviewing investigation of crime handled by Sachin Vaze? API Sachin Vaze never reported to any officer of the crime branch during his tenure of 9 months. No officers of the crime branch gave any review, opinion, direction in the investigation handled by Sachin Vaze because he directly reported about the same to the Commissioner of Police. Now that's very important. Once again, in this report, there is a mention of the fact that no one had any idea of what was happening in the CIU office. Let's move to the other important bit because these are details of the cars that were actually being used. And remember, Republic Media Network, right from the time that this Antilla bomb scare investigation took place, questions were being raised about how exactly was an assistant police inspector in a position for using the luxury vehicles? Here is the answer. Which vehicle used by Sachin Vaze for coming to the office? As per the information received from the CIU officer, API Sachin Vaze was using mainly high-end luxurious cars like Mercedes-Benz, Audi and other private vehicles to reach the office other than the 3 government vehicles, in which one of the government vehicle important to point out is the Innova. The Innova that has been seized by the National Investigation Agency. When the NIA team visited the office of the Commissioner of Police, details of the Panchnama and the seizure that has been. Let's move to the other page right now. This is the last as far as the investigation that has been carried out. I would like to just quickly go through the other pages to give you a sense that this is just the translation. This is the original report. The original report that has been submitted to the Home Department. Maharashtra Home Department has this report which has been loosely translated. Let's move to quickly to the other pages, and then I'll bring in my colleague Alisha. Questions essentially being raised about here, once again, about how Sachin Vaze was not reporting to the crime branch his immediate seniors and seizures that were made and the luxurious vehicles that were made. The last page that we have with us in our possession, the 10 pages, which includes the English and Marathi version. Let's move to the 10th page right now. 10 pages that have been accessed. This is the same report in Marathi. Let me also quickly go across to our guests as well as my colleague Alisha, who's also accessed this report. We'll try to go to one of our guests right now, former DGP of Uttar Pradesh, Vikram Singh. Mr. Singh, let me take a quick question from you before I go back to my colleagues on the ground to get a sense of what's actually happening. This is a sensational report, a report prepared by the new Mumbai Police Administration, handed over to the Home Department, in which they're categorically saying what we all knew about it, that Sachin Vaze was never reporting to his immediate seniors. His DCP crime, the joint CP crime, they were unaware of what was happening. So what does this mean? Shouldn't action now be taken against the seniors who had brought him in to the fold of Mumbai Police?
Well done and congratulations, Republic team. You have you have come out with a masterpiece, and indeed the buck stops at the table of Paramveer, who insidiously not only gave a backdoor entry to Assistant Sub-Inspector Sachin Vaze, who was not holding the right, but gave him the charge of CIU. He not only got the charge of CIU, he got all the sensational investigations reporting directly to the police commissioner against all protocol. His entry into CIU restatement was opposed by senior officers, yet ignoring all the legitimate protests, he was inducted into the force against all norms and all sections of the police regulations, and then verbal instructions are absolutely of no consequence. But the truth is ultimately out thanks to your expose. And I feel that now Paramveer Singh should be a co-accused in all these matters. These trumped-up charges in case of your channel, in case of all other matters, the TRP investigation need to be re-investigated, and case under 182 IPC for lodging a false complaint needs to be considered after.
Let me bring in my colleague. Let me bring in my colleague Alisha for a quick answer on what's really transpiring right now within the Home Department. Alisha, आपसे ये जानना चाहेंगे, ये रिपोर्ट सेंसेशनल है, कहीं ना कहीं सवाल वापस ये उठता है परमबीर सिंह के ऊपर कि आखिरकार क्यों उन्होंने सचिन वजे को वापस बुलाया, और दूसरी बात, जिस तरह से ये जॉइंट सीपी क्राइम, उस वक्त के जॉइंट सीपी क्राइम ने ये ऑब्जेक्शन लगाया था, इसके बावजूद सचिन वजे को मुंबई पुलिस में वापस लाया गया और कहीं ना कहीं बड़े बड़े केसेस उनको दिया गया था।
देखिए बिल्कुल चवन, जहां पर ये सीक्रेट रिपोर्ट की बात करें, जहां पर अब करंट सीपी के ओर से ये होम डिपार्टमेंट को दी गई थी, और जो सवाल शुरुआती से रिपब्लिक टीवी की ओर से लगाए जा रहे थे कि क्या सचिन वाजे जो कि इस पूरे कॉन्स्पिरेसी के तहत जो पूरी कॉन्स्पिरेसी रची गई थी, क्या उसमें परमबीर सिंह जो कि उनके बॉस थे उनको इसके बारे में कोई जानकारी नहीं। लेकिन इसी रिपोर्ट से, जो रिपोर्ट मुंबई पुलिस की ओर से दी गई है होम डिपार्टमेंट को, इसी रिपोर्ट से साफ होता है कि परमबीर सिंह जो है वो सारी चीज़ों की जानकारी रखते थे। और इस रिपोर्ट में साफ तौर पर बताया कि सचिन वाजे जो कि टाइम टू टाइम जो भी अपडेट्स रहते हैं, फिर चाहे उनके अरेस्ट को लेकर हो या फिर रेड को लेकर हो या जो भी एक्टिविटीज़ को लेकर हो, वो डायरेक्टली परमबीर सिंह जो कि उस समय के मुंबई पुलिस कमिश्नर थे, उनको सारी ये जानकारी दी गई थी। हालांकि प्रोटोकॉल के हिसाब से, ना कि जॉइंट सीपी क्राइम या फिर क्राइम ब्रांच के जो सीनियर ऑफिसर्स हैं, उनको किसी भी बात की कोई जानकारी जो है इसकी जानकारी नहीं दी जा रही थी। लेकिन अब देख रहे हैं कि परमबीर सिंह को हर चीज़ों की जो है जानकारी खुद सचिन वाजे दिए जाते थे। ये सारे खुलासे जो कि रिपब्लिक टीवी की ओर से एक्सक्लूसिवली ये रिपोर्ट जहां पर एक्सेस की गई है, इसमें साफ तौर पर खुलासे किए जाते हैं कि आखिरकार परमबीर सिंह जो कि इस पूरे मामले को लेकर सारी चीज़ों को देखकर सचिन वाजे के हर मूवमेंट को, फिर चाहे सचिन वाजे की लग्जरी गाड़ी जो कि सीपी प्रेमाइसिस में खड़ी रहती थी, हालांकि उन्हें ऑफिशियली 3 गाड़ी दी गई थी, लेकिन उसके बावजूद फिर चाहे मर्सिडीज हो या ऑडी हो, ये सारी गाड़ी सीपी ऑफिस में खड़े रहते हैं और इसकी जानकारी परमबीर सिंह को थी। यानी इन सारे रोल को लेकर, परमबीर सिंह को रोल को लेकर, और जब सवाल जो है जो शुरुआती से रिपब्लिक मीडिया नेटवर्क की ओर से उठाए जा रहे थे कि परमबीर सिंह जो कि सीपी थे और साथ ही सचिन वाजे के बॉस थे, क्या उनको इसके बारे में जानकारी, लेकिन ये रिपोर्ट खुद मुंबई पुलिस डिपार्टमेंट की ओर से दी गई है, उनके एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन की ओर से दी गई है, जहां पर ये रिपोर्ट 8 सवाल पूछे गए थे, 8 सवाल होम डिपार्टमेंट की ओर से दी गई थी। उसी रिपोर्ट में अगर जवाब देखें, उस रिपोर्ट में साफ तौर पर बताया गया है कि किस तरीके से सचिन वाजे जो कि डायरेक्टली जो है और इंडिपेंडेंटली सारी चीज़ें सिर्फ परमबीर सिंह को बताए जा रहे थे, न कि एक प्रोटोकॉल के हिसाब से अपने क्राइम ब्रांच के जो है सीनियर ऑफिसर्स को बताया जा रहे, लेकिन सारी चीज़ें जो है सिर्फ परमबीर सिंह को बताए जा रहे थे। फिर चाहे वो टीआरपी केस हो या फिर दिलीप छाबरिया केस हो या फिर एंचिलिया बॉम्बस्कर केस हो, ये सारी चीज़ों का अपडेट जो है वो परमबीर सिंह को टाइम टू टाइम मिलते थे। इंपॉर्टेंटली ये तक गाड़ियों का भी जिक्र, जहाँ पर हमने देखा कि गाड़ियों के जिक्र भी किए गए, जहाँ पर सचिन वाजे को ऑफिशियली 3 गाड़ी दी गई थी, उसके बावजूद लग्जरी गाड़ी जो है वो जो लग्जरी गाड़ी है वो सीपी प्रेमाइसिस में। तो ये सारे खुलासे जो कि काफी एक्सप्लोसिव है, सारे खुलासे जो है आज रिपब्लिक टीवी की ओर से की जाए, जहां पर खुद ये रिपोर्ट हमने सामने रखी है। जी शवन।
That was Alisha also getting us details of this sensational report that has been accessed by Republic TV, full 10-page report, which basically has the English translation too. Let me quickly go back to my guests right now. Swapnil, a quick word from you before we slip into a short break. Swapnil, this report once again raises some very serious questions about the conduct of the senior officers who were at the helm of affairs at that point in time. But the fact of the matter is that shouldn't some action be taken? Because at the end of the day, he's handled some very, very important cases. Shouldn't those cases be reviewed at the earliest? And secondly, shouldn't action be taken against those officers who had reinstated Sachin Vaze?
Well, Shravan, that's the Criminal Procedure Code and the Indian Penal Code are very clear about this. That if you are involved in this at some level, whether it's at a senior level, accomplice level, junior level, you are bound to be, considered a joint accused. And I'm sure the NIA will, obviously file a charge sheet against Mr. Parambir Singh if they find some sort of a connecting link. So there is no question that, this will be bypassed. And, as far as the other cases are concerned, which have been investigated by Mr. Vaze, under Mr. Singh, obviously those need to be reviewed, and those should be reviewed by the current administration simply because, or they should be probably withdrawn simply because if they themselves are getting into this Q&A, which is right there in front of us in a 10-page Q&A by the current police administration against a former police administration, that clearly invalidates in many ways the earlier cases which have been hitherto investigated. So there is no question that the current administration needs to go to a court of law and say that, look, whatever those cases have been filed, we are apologetic about it, and they all need to be withdrawn. Otherwise, this report doesn't have much of a sanctity because, adding, the joint police officers who reinstated Vaze or who did work with him or who worked under him is a separate issue. That's a separate aspect of it. But what about the people who have faced injustices at the hands of the perverted investigation?
I'm just getting some more breaking news right now.
Sure.
Swapnil, a source of mine has just confirmed to me with regards to what's happened as far as this reinstatement is concerned, and it's very important because Joint CP Crime, I'm being told, and even Joint CP Admin, not just Joint CP Crime, Joint CP Admin had also raised an objection. In fact, we have been told that he was against reinstating Sachin Vaze. He tried delaying it till about one day when CP told he has to be reinstated. So it becomes amply clear, not just Joint CP Crime. Viewers, Joint CP Administration at that point in time was against reinstating Sachin Vaze. In fact, there was an attempt that was made by the senior officers to delay his reinstatement, but it was the then police commissioner who had made it absolutely clear. In fact, we'll also put out further documentation to prove how the then police commissioner had taken this decision that all appointments within the Mumbai police his crime branch will actually go through him. Now, that's a very important decision. We'll put out certain documentations in a short while from now because this becomes amply clear. Who was running the show and who was basically giving directions to Sachin Vaze. I'm also told that there are other channels who are following our explosive report at this point in time because this report is certainly going to raise some very uncomfortable questions.